Perfect, and we're live. Second regular agenda. Perfect, and we're live.
We're away.
We're away.
Okay. So welcome to the Township of Cavan Monaghan Municipal Revitalization and Heritage Advisory Committee meeting, March 16th, 2023, 9 a.m. So I call the meeting to order. And first is the approval of the agenda. Everyone have an agenda? Somebody motion to accept the agenda, seconded by Nancy. So this
All in favor?
all in favor. Okay.
Perfect.
So disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Is there any? And if there isn't, next is a closed session. And there isn't any reason to do that. And approval of the minutes. Everybody have their minutes. Somebody like to accept the minutes? Seconder? I'll second it. Deborah? All in favor? So business arising from the minutes. Is there any?
Through you, Chair, not that I've seen any. I think most of the items we'll discuss in our work plan and item 2.9.
So we will move on then to reports, the financial report from Bridget.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Chair. This is the portion of the meeting where I will in future have an actual financial report like this that I'll give to Cindy that she can circulate prior to. There aren't any items or transactions that have taken place as part of our budget because our budget just got approved. And most of the costs are all covered in our work plan. So kind of the three items that we have on this general ledger that we will see are the heritage project, the 13,500, which is to review and update current heritage bylaws. That is the funding we received for Connor's position. We have applied to new funding to extend and renew Connor's position. Unfortunately, Connor will be leaving us tomorrow. We're very sad about that, but we have applied for new funding to replace him. So that will show up in this report, as will the landscaping, which is, I marked it on my little sheet here, the landscaping for the station parkette by the mural, and we'll get into that a little bit later. There's $1,000. There's $3,000 for the Dale, Springville, and Ebenezer Cemetery signage, which we are working on. And then there is $1,500 for contracted services, which is for John Lacey to make repairs to the mural downtown, the existing mural. So that is all I have for right now. The rest we will address in the work plan.
Someone make a motion to accept Bridget's Nancy? Secondary?
All in favor?
All in favor? business. Do you want to go right to the work plan? Everyone has a copy of that. And I guess we'll just start and go through it. Anybody has any questions as we go along some of it? Self-explanatory. Anyway, the station, the first one is started Station Parkette by the Mirror Landscape. Would really address that one.
Yeah, so what this is there was a project that came, that started last year with the Regional Tourism Organization, we're REAP Section 8. They did, they had a funding program that we could apply to that for upgrades to any type of tourism feature that we have in our community. So we applied for upgrades to the little station parkette that's kind of right beside the Works Depot, and some upgrades to the trails. So we had a bridge, one of the main bridges on the Baxter Creek Trail that had deteriorated. They actually had to close it down because it was impassable. So we applied and received funding. We couldn't start the project on the station parkette area. So what we applied for was some furniture, picnic tables, some benches, some garbage cans, and some landscaping. So we couldn't start any of that. We could do some of the ditching and grading and stuff that needed to be done. But until the Public Works Depot or the Millbrook Yard Depot had been built, we couldn't really do any landscaping just because it would die probably. So this year we can. So we're we've got a little bit of money, plus we've got some funds from the R208 budget that we can use to put some plants and some, Peter had done a really nice little sketch of what he thinks would work and plants that would work. And so we're going to take that sketch and make it real. How's that?
Perfect.
Good.
Number 2, Springville and Ebenezer Cemetery restoration. Karen, you want
I think it's in Cindy's budget, so do you want to speak to it?
Sure. Ultimately, from what I understand, we have been given this allotment because from MTO, when we sold, or they took over a portion of that, the Springville and Ebenezer cemeteries. So ultimately, what I want to talk about here, though, is do we believe we want to look at alternative companies doing the restoration on the work if we find that there's cemeteries or monuments at either one of these areas that need restoration? When we went over and did that spring look, I think you were there, Peter. I'm pretty sure it was the Springville one. A couple of the monuments are breaking off at the top there and need to be kind of brought back together. I don't think $740 is going to touch it. If when we really look at it, that's just more for lawn maintenance and general maintenance on the property, not actual restoration. So if it's something that the committee wants to look at, maybe we can look at it and add it to our 2024 budget, I would think, if we find there's any work that we need to do over there. So I think maybe a step one, when the snow goes away, which let's pray it goes sooner than later, maybe some of our committee members, or if our entire committee wants to go one day and do a site visit, we can go and have a look at both of these cemeteries and decide what level of work we believe these cemeteries are going to need, if there's any restoration work, and then we can look at rolling this budget over or asking for more money or whatever it's going to kind of look like.
Is Campbell Monument the same one as Peterborough? There's a monument place in Peterborough, and they look after the one in St. John's.
I don't know that. That's a good question.
That's where my family got their headstones.
Done.
They've just moved. They were on Aylmer Street,
Okay.
and it's called Peterborough Monument.
Okay.
And they do advertising. I just wondered if there's a price that you can get from Campbell and from Peterborough
Yeah. Good.
Monument, because they're down on the Kingsway now.
So maybe once we get an understanding of the workload, we can get a quote together based on some pictures and
Yeah.
whatever the restorations, and we can
Mhm.
circulate it
Because
to,
those two cemeteries were actually put in those cribs.
oh.
Okay, so remember we had the problem? We don't know where the actual plots are. But
Over
they,
there.
they took all the headstones.
Yeah.
They built the pad.
Yep.
And then they put all these things in the pad.
Oh, that's who did the original work there.
Yes.
Oh,
Peterborough Monuments did that?
Hmm?
Did Peterborough Monuments did that?
No, but
No.
Peterborough Monument was the one I used
Okay.
when I had to
But
go
that- just for
repair.
clarification.
And I just wondered, because they do all the surrounding cemeteries. They do St. John's and stuff like that.
yeah.
Even when we were down on Zion Line and we were looking at that one, there's a lot of places down there, but they're owned by the churches. Those ones are still got the churches, but
Yes.
they do use. But I did a repair at Ebenezer. They
So-
went in and they bought, it's like a paint. It's a glue
Oh,
that they glue it back together, but it's a special bonding. But there's two now. There's Campbell Monument. I don't know where they're out of.
I think they're out of like the Quincy area.
so definitely at a Coburg, and unfortunately, they're the ones that built Brothers Bench, so they were at a
Yeah.
Coburg. But
Oh,
I
okay.
think they might have a spot in Belleville too, for some reason. I feel like the
Well, they're
names
all over,
come up, yeah.
but Peterborough Monument is just as close. So you might get a better price with the two looking for restoration. But like you said, 740 is not going to restore.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Zion Line, just why you spoke about that. So council has blessed us every year to give us $12,000 for any cemeteries that are still ran by a board. Any cemeteries that are abandoned, such as these two, that's what we manage. So that falls within our budgets, but council has given a $12,000 budget, and 4 of the boards have applied for funding to try to help
Good
Zion.
Shields.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they all, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if I think that would be a good spring project, and we can add that to, as an update on here, that the members or all of us could go and have a look at, these locations and determine what work needs to be done. And then we can look at, running a quote or some kind of a proposal, whatever we feel needs to be done, and then we can circulate it to whoever we feel is in the business. Good idea?
Okay, no,
Okay.
that sounds good. Review and update of the current heritage bylaws. Bridget?
Yeah, so I think my name is on this, but this is kind of Karen's project. She's been kind of managing Connor. So I'm gonna let you take the baton and pass the baton to you.
Okay, I'll pass, we're gonna share it a little bit. So as you're well aware, we have been embarking on for the past 6 months, the update of all of the heritage bylaws. We have successfully collected information, prepared bylaws, and when I say we, I'm talking predominantly Connor with some direction from staff and members of the committee, drafted new bylaws. We've taken the first bunch through the initial process of providing notice to property owners who are affected by the bylaws. We've had an information session, we've had a public meeting, and the bylaws are now scheduled to go for approval on Monday. Presuming council will approve them, then notice of the passing of those bylaws will be done in accordance with the Ontario Heritage Act. The next portion, or the next bylaw, is ready to go as well. There's going to be 4 bylaws in that section. So at the next meeting, you're going to get the next batch of bylaws. You might get the next 2 batches of bylaws. So maybe you could give me some feedback on how much is too much for you to review at once. You know, I don't want to send you like 15 bylaws if that's overwhelming. So we're doing them in sections as per their original bylaw. So if bylaw 8623 had 8 bylaws, we're doing that section together. That's how we're chunking it up. So we're going
They're
to
all
continue.
completed, are they?
All of the information is collected. We have the photographs. It is all organized, and Bridget can speak to that because there has been some knowledge transfer occurring. As Bridget has said, Connor is leaving us tomorrow. He has accepted a position with the City of London for a heritage coordinator contract. So it's very good for him. We are very sad. He has
been excellent. He has done excellent work and it's all very organized. So with the knowledge transfer that's happening, Bridget, with some assistance from Jess and me and whoever else we might think we might need, is gonna try to carry on until we.
Yeah, so Connor has even just outlined, like, he's gone into such a level of detail that he's actually outlined the process you need to take to bring the bylaws forward, including, a public meeting, how many you should maybe take in a session. And he's got them all prepared and ready to go, so we can just pick up and carry on.
Good.
So we're gonna follow the process. He has created templates for us. So in the future, after we get this big chunk of work done, and we might want to look at designating something new, we will have a template to follow that will be consistent with what we've
Well,
done
way
through
they
this
did it.
process. Yes.
Yeah.
So it just makes it a little bit easier to follow a path.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where we are. So
So he's left us in good hands.
he has left us in good hands. We have been very blessed to have him. As Bridget said, he's highly organized, very detail oriented, and many thanks to Ashley for also helping Connor with a final review of the technical aspects of the bylaw. So we're going to continue to count on you. And,
May have yourself a new job.
Well, I was just gonna say, the next batch Connor shared, okay, sorry, I should go back. So last meeting, there was some presented, those ones are going out to council on
Yes.
Monday, right?
Yes.
So he shared a new batch, I reviewed those, took them back to him, so those ones I feel confident in. He sent me, I think, another 4, I have not touched those, so I am very sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, the next 4 I feel confident in, bringing to the community, they look good. And I'll get my bedding gear. Do the next 4.
So that's where we are. We're gonna carry on. We'll keep you updated. And I think if we decide that we want to move a little bit quicker than June, we'll put out the feelers and say we want a special meeting, and we'll call it and we'll deal with that and keep going.
Good. All right, next on the work plan is Heritage Awards.
So this is our annual call for committee members and members of the community if they want to nominate somebody for Heritage Awards. There are 2. There's work that is, I'm paraphrasing, but there's work that has been done on a heritage asset. And there's work that somebody has done to educate people in the community or to encourage heritage preservation. If you feel that there is somebody that you would like to, or a group of people that you would like to nominate, it is an open nomination. There's no deadline. So there is a form on the website. And if you need, I can send it to you directly. But if there's somebody you would like to nominate, or if you want to send it out to people that that are heritage buffs or history buffs, and they want to nominate somebody, feel free.
And we don't have any outstanding nominations at this moment.
No, we do not. And the $500 is for the costs of the award and any advertising that we might do. We just kind of keep a running amount just for administrative costs associated with the awards.
There were some last year, were there not?
Yeah, we did.
St. Paul's.
Thank you, St. Paul's Anglican. I think there was just the one,
Mhm.
2 nominations for the same organization.
Yeah, there were 3 different people, I think.
Mhm, mhm. 5. Yeah.
Okay, the downtown mural. Bridget, you want to keep talking, Bridget?
Of course. So the downtown mural, it's actually, the mural project is something, I think we talked about it at the first meeting. The mural project is something that the committee previously had wanted to embark on. It kind of originated with the existence of the existing mural is weather worn, it's starting to deteriorate. There were some current concerns about ownership of the building, and so we thought it might be better to have a mural that's on township property. That kind of spun into another conversation about what that mural should have, and maybe we should encourage preservation of the existing mural as it is until it is taken down or something happens to it, which hopefully that won't happen. But anyway, so this project is for a mural that we are going to put on the station park, the kind of a little pavilion, pergola, I guess is what it's called, I guess. Anyways, so we're going to put it on the side of that. It's on the station park. We thought that could be part of that station park kind of revitalization. So it's the entrance into the trails. There's like a little picnic shelter. So we're putting it on to the side.
Where
So
the water is now.
yes, yes. So we met with the artist who did the existing mural, John Lacey. There were two reasons for meeting with him. We kind of got him teed up to do some restoration work on the existing mural, which he's going to do in the summer. And then we talked about going forward with a new mural. So we batted around some ideas. We met yesterday, just Karen, Peter, and myself, to kind of get some ideas that we could focus John's efforts. So it was a fun meeting. I think we've got kind of an idea that in our heads. Peter actually found this great map of Millbrook, original Millbrook, and Cavan. So it's got the village of Grafton, Perrytown. Anyways, I won't bore you with the details, but
But we're taking that off.
we're taking that. What?
We're not having Grafton and Perrytown.
No, we're not. No. This would be kind of, the concept is this would be kind of a little bit of a background to the mural. And then John would do little vignettes on the back or on the murals. So some of the vignettes that we talked about were sorry, I gotta have my notes here. We would tie in the train because it is the train station. So we might have a vignette with the front of the train coming in, and the idea is life in Cavan Monaghan. So you arrived by train, you stayed in a hotel. So maybe a picture of the hotel, the old hotel downtown. You got a job. So you were either farming, you were a merchant downtown, or you worked at the mill, or you did all three. Right. So then, life happens, there's fires, there's emergencies. So we thought a fire truck, the old fire truck with, I'm sorry, Peter, I forgot your picture. But Peter had a really good concept for a fire truck with the fire hall kind of coming in the background.
This is the old fire hall.
Old fire hall, yeah.
Down by the old municipal.
Yep.
office.
You would go to school, your kids would go to school, so we would have a picture of the old school.
And not necessarily the old school, but a old school.
A old school.
Like a schoolhouse.
Are we gonna try to have images of our, like, old schoolhouse that was in Millbrook of the day? Is that kind of? the
Yeah.
thought?
Or in Cavan, like.
Or in Cavan,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a photograph of what is now the Lion's Den.
Yeah.
But it was, so there's photos like that's what we're kind of envisioning.
Yeah. And then maybe tie in the post office, because that has been a central part of the community for a long time. These are just some ideas, but this is kind of where we landed. And so our next step is to pull our pictures together and kind of our theme together and sit down with John and get him to do a sketch. And probably by the time that happens, it'll be time for our June meeting and we can bring that sketch to the committee. Any questions?
Sounds fantastic.
Oh, I know, I'm so excited.
When do we want to present the idea to council?
I would think we'd have to wait until we have some sort of a sketch
Conceptual
first.
idea.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So I'm thinking once we kind of met as a committee in June, we could take it. They just have the one meeting in July or no meeting in July?
No meeting in July, one meeting in August.
One meeting in August, okay.
Well, it's been their initiative. Council knows about it. So I think there's no surprise. Like they know we've wanted to do a design. Yeah.
We have two
We can
meetings
talk,
in June? Do we have two meetings?
2 meetings in
Yes.
June, yeah.
Okay.
So we can talk about it.
Yeah,
What makes sense, yeah.
yeah, because we did, the thing is we want him, if there's weather issues, that would impact his creating the mural, which I'm not sure that would be. If it's on
I'm
a-
no artist.
Do you think?
Would he
it'd be
paint it
good?
on the panels and
No,
then
I
install the
think
panels?
He'll do those in his studio anyway.
Yeah, okay,
And then
okay,
he'll
so we
bring the
might be okay.
finished
then.
panels to install
Are they gonna be painted or are they gonna be aluminum? Have we thought about that?
Yeah,
them. Yeah, they're gonna be painted,
Oh, okay,
and they're painted on a exterior board that's used for signage.
Okay.
There's a name for it, it's I've forgotten. But that's what that board is made for. So it's an exterior board for signage.
perfect. So I think that's great. I think as we move forward, we should keep in the back of our minds, let's keep a maintenance and restoration for both of these so that all of the hard work that we've done to this, we can always maintain that, especially because we talked about steel, which would not have a lifelong, but would have longevity,
Mhm.
longer than if we painted it. But I think the painting is a great idea too. But I think just let's keep in our minds when we always do our budget that we want to maintain a.
yeah, so I think we had agreed that as part of our contracted services, that would include that.
Good idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That's
so if anybody has any
exciting.
great ideas
Yeah.
that they want to add to the kind of the theme, please bring it on. And Peter did get some great photos from the Historical Society that I think we're gonna try to use to give John some ideas, but it's just.
Councillor Edgerton, do you have anything?
I was just gonna say, I think it would be nice though to have something to take to council. To present to them that wouldn't put any doubt in their mind as to where we were going with this.
Yeah, yeah,
And it would get approved very quickly.
Yeah.
I would hope. So at some point from John, we'll get a good rendering of
Perfect.
what this mural is gonna be.
Exciting.
Mhm.
Great job.
So, we've pretty well covered off the number 6. And so we go to 7.
yeah, so 7 and 8 could actually just kind of go together. The budget was approved to roll over funds for the incentives. When we launched our community improvement plan, we launched it right just around COVID hitting. So we had a lot of challenges with, or our successful applicants had a lot of challenges with getting suppliers to finish the job. I think everybody knows the situation. So we have, there's a couple of projects that are outstanding from both 2019 and 2020 programs. So we have given them an extension, and I'm just doing the extension letters this week. That's on my list actually for this afternoon. And the same with the 2021 CIP incentives. Half of them were done. There were 3 out of 6 projects. And the deadline was February of this year, but we've given them an extension to December just to give them a little bit more time. So that 7 and 8 is just basically an update that we're giving them an extension so they can finish their projects.
Okay, so number 9, the township-wide community improvement plan.
So as part of our projects in 2021, we council had a wish that they wanted to see the CIP program. They were very thrilled with the results of the program for 2019 and 2020. So they wanted to see incentives extended to the rest of the community. And they wanted to see a few more programs offered that would be appropriate for Cabin and North Monaghan businesses. So, we added a couple of actually quite a few new programs. There was agricultural and rural development for farm businesses. If they were looking to do any type of on-farm diversified or some sort of expansion project. There's a sustainability fund. There is a heritage fund, which we actually didn't have in our first CIP program. For heritage, we pointed to a lot of provincial and federal funding. So we added a heritage fund of our own so that we can use for incentives. There's a few more that are just kind of escaping me, but anyway, so now we have a community improvement plan that is available, that has programs available for the entire township. We put 25,000 in the budget. Council of the previous day had suggested that we keep a running total of 25,000 every year that we contribute to the community improvement plan. So we have, the budget was approved. We do have 25,000 for programs to turn on. Staff are kind of putting our heads around which one we would recommend that council turn on. I imagine the focus will probably be focused on Millbrook for the last 3 iterations. So I think the focus will be outside of the Millbrook area. Having said that, we don't know yet. And certainly if you have any suggestions or projects you would like to see, throw them out there. And
How are we communicating this with the public so that they know about it?
well, so when we do the, when we open the program, we put it on our website, we send it out on social media. We sometimes put an ad in the Millbrook Times, just budget depending.
What about one of those used to get pieces in the tax bill or whatever?
Yeah,
Because
if
that
the
gets-
timing is right. So
If the timing's good, that's a great way to reach a lot of people.
Yeah,
Other people may not be on social media and whatever, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So if the timing's right, sometimes we have a very short open and close window.
Yeah.
So if the timing is right, yeah, we would put it in there as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Cool.
But you can certainly talk about it if you want to tell people that it's coming
Yeah.
Yeah,
and to watch for it.
sure. Well, no, that's, we can spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Number 10, the Dial, Springville, and Ebenezer Cemetery signage.
So we are working on that. There is a ton of information about Springville. So we're just trying to get it focused. Ebenezer has been a little more challenging, I'm not gonna lie. So it is not anywhere near where we need it to be. And admittedly, it's a workload issue, so it's on the list. We are working on it. If anybody knows anybody or knows anything about Ebenezer Cemetery,
Peter, would the Historical Society have anything on Ebenezer?
I'd have to check, Nancy, I'm not certain.
Yeah, because part of that subdivision up there, the church where Bob Palmer lives, that was the church. That was the Ebenezer Church was sitting there. So Ebenezer was a big area
Mhm.
up there off the Stewart line. And that. So
Well, I'll certainly inquire and see. if
Larry
they-
Lamb would have had the stuff, and I don't know where his stuff went.
Well, we think it's gone to Trent Archives.
Did you think it went to the Bethany?
No,
Okay,
went to Peterborough,
Trent Valley Archives.
Trent Valley Archives, we believe,
yeah, he would have it.
you know.
So maybe maybe it's just not make the time, and we'll go and see what we can find.
Yeah, I'll check the files because I may have something at home.
Okay,
Mom came from Ebenezer. The ranch is right beside where the cemetery is. That's where Mom's
Really?
homestead was.
No?
She went to the school over the hill at Devil's Elbow. They walked to the corner and went over the hill at Devil's Elbow down to Franklin to go to school there. Mom's home place is up there.
Do I hear you want to be part of this project?
Hmm?
Do I hear you want to be part of? That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
I'll check what she's got. I know I have a paper thing, Karen, on Springbow. I cut
Oh,
it.
perfect.
No, that's
I have a
great.
I have a thing on Springbow because Harley Cathcart put it in, and Harley Cathcart would be one to contact for Springbow Church. And
Well, that's great. That's what we need for some leads because we're in the dark, quite frankly, on these two cemeteries.
yeah, well, I'll check her files. I'm going through boxes and I'll check her files and stuff like that. I found stuff that I didn't even know we had.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
That's great.
And the other thing, part of that program is signage for these cemeteries. We haven't got that far yet.
We need words.
But we need some ideas for cemetery signage. What has been used, what the normal is. And then we have to decide on the wording for the signs. But that's further down.
Through you, Chair, are we going to use the similar template or format that we just did at Dial? I think let's,
Yeah.
okay, good. I think let's stick with that consistency
Yeah.
through all of our cemeteries. I think that'll be a nice little identifier that we know we've put that information out there.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about.
Perfect,
So Peter had developed kind of like a template that can be used for the signage. It's just kind of, so we decided on the wording for Dale. We can use that as a kind of like a blueprint for the Ebenezer and Springville. And part of that sign is to include a little QR code that if people went, they could get more information on the website. Because it's hard to it's a small space. You can't put everything in there. We did run into a little bit of a snag with our Dale Monument signage and all at the printer, and the printer is closed the doors. So now we have to find a new sign printer.
This side is doomed.
Anyways, it is a challenge we will overcome, right, Peter? Yes, we will.
Yes.
We have a strategy in place to address it.
So is
And
there?
it's, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Nancy, where you're going with your information. We're talking about putting Q codes on these signs for the cemetery. And so a lot of the information that you're talking about is the kind of thing that go on those Q cards, Q codes.
Yeah.
So that information is perfect. And anything you can gather is helpful.
Can I play devil's advocate here? Not everybody uses Q codes. Like I have a couple of friends who are older who can't seem to figure out how to use them with their phones and whatever. So is there any place where there would be a tiny URL or whatever that people could go to?
Well, so the QR code would take them
They
to
do,
the
yeah, of course,
website.
I know how to use them, but I'm
Yeah.
saying there's a lot of people who, you go to a restaurant, for example, I was out with a friend on the weekend and there was a QR code for the menu. But he said, well, I can't do this, so he asked for a paper menu.
Yeah,
I could
so-
have done for him, but yeah.
Yeah, so all of that information would be, if somebody were to go to the website without going on a QR code, it would be on the website. So there'd be a URL for them.
Okay,
And then, I mean, I think what you're talking about is publishing paper versions of
not
the
entirely, I mean,
information.
that would be great, if somebody was so motivated to get it from you guys, then that would be great. But I'm just I'm trying to play devil's advocate on the basis of having spent a lot of time with elders in the recently, and if we want them to be able to take their trip down memory lane, or because they lived there at one point in that area,
Mhm.
or whatever,
Mhm.
we want to make it accessible. It's important to make everything accessible, so, yeah.
If you have, yeah, it's a great idea. And if you have any suggestions as to how we can do that, outside of if there's like a little, I don't know, like a window kiosk or something like that,
Mhm.
we can maybe put it into a budget item for 2024, to develop something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move on to number 11, which is the Porch Lake project. Deborah, do you have
Yeah,
any
so
input?
I have not found anybody else doing this kind of thing. Now, there's a number of projects called Porch Light. That, so I don't know if we want to call it Porch Light. You're gonna have to come up with something else because there are Porch Light projects to commemorate women who have died as a result of domestic abuse. There are Porch Light projects for welcoming veterans home. There are Porch Light programs. There was one interesting one. I haven't found anything else in Canada yet, but there was an interesting one from Minneapolis where I guess the city had suggested to the public that they should leave their lights on all night due to crime. Porch light project there, trying to get people to put the porch lights on, but they also mentioned in their rationale that they wanted to create a more welcoming community. A more welcoming community is less likely to attract folks who are not on the up and up, shall we say. So so I haven't found anything. Otherwise, I continue to look. That's what I found so far. But if we call it something else like the Welcome Home Project or something else other than porch light, because it's all over, but it has these different connotations, right? So I don't know that anybody here would recognize them. They're mostly American porch light projects. But anyway, so I don't know what it would cost per month. That site from Minneapolis said, what was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I think it was $4.53 a month. It would cost people using the CFLs, which we would rather have people use LEDs, but using CFLs, it was going to cost $4.53 a month for the average homeowner to put the porch light on during the hours of darkness. So I don't personally think that's a lot of money, but I suppose some people might be annoyed at that. So I need some guidance on who would I contact at the public utility to figure out what that might cost for an average house. Because I remember at our last meeting that there was some discussion and you could ask the public works guys or something about it. Mhm.
Yeah, we can certainly talk to Wayne. If he has a contact that we could work with.
Yeah, because I don't have a problem making the phone calls or whatever and doing the work. It's just any sort of leads you would have that would be helpful. And then I could find out like what that might cost for the average. And
I'm wondering if it's just something we could calculate ourselves, like, just based on what our own usage is, right?
Yeah.
Hydro calculator.
Well, yeah, you could, whether or not, like, I think sometimes it's challenging to get.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm stuck. So
Yeah,
I just need to
you just need to
determine
put
that, and then from
cost.
there, it's easier to build a rationale around it. As I said, the Minneapolis is very different from Millbrook, but I mean, building a rationale around it, the welcoming part, the historical aspect of having a porch light on, and so on and so forth. I have no problem putting together.
Does it have to be a porch light, or could it be like a lantern with an LED light in
Oh,
it?
it could be a lantern. It could be pretty much anything that illuminates people walking
Yeah.
and people going home. And
Yeah,
because the whole thing was, as I said before, is people used to have their porch lights on at night. They didn't obviously keep them on when they went to bed unless someone was still coming home from work or whatever. So pretty much through the evening up until 10 o'clock, you used to see porch lights on in Millbrook. And so it was more of a neighborly thing. And so that whole angle, I would be willing to sort of dig into. I don't know that there's going to be historic records of that being done,
Mhm.
but perhaps talking to some of the older folks who are disappearing quickly about that would be interesting. Would be on
yeah, you could always look at, like the little solar lanterns too, that,
Yeah.
people put them out during the day to
Yeah.
charge them and
Yeah.
then put them on their porch.
Yeah.
A little more cost neutral, if you will. I think
Yeah.
those little things are, like, we have them,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, they,
I think it depends on the solar light you're talking about, because I've seen some that are pretty, they're just like spluttering away, there's hardly anything, they die after a while. We used to have them on our porch, and they croaked, so, they were great while they lasted, so.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's just that the whole thing is, I found it interesting where they made a list of the various reasons why you would want to leave a porch light on.
Okay.
But at the same time, you don't scare people too. You don't want to go too far on the crime aspect, because it's not like there's a big crime wave moving
Yeah.
through here, right?
Yeah.
But it's always a good safety first kind of initiative too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I've got so far. So
Okay.
there has to be another name for it. And there are, as I said, there are a number of initiatives like that in the US. I haven't come across any in Canada yet, and municipalities doing it or whatever.
Okay.
So we might be the first.
Okay.
So, yeah.
First, you go speak to somebody, try and
Sure. Absolutely.
finding out what it's gonna cost.
And then there was the other thing, I think you mentioned about, sorry, about the bulbs, the warm LEDs.
Mhm.
So you thought somebody on Public Works might know where we could get some.
Yeah, I can check with them for sure. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you can't find anything, well, I can still look, but if the information is readily available, it'll save some time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, number 12. Restoration of the bell from the former municipal.
Okay, so my friend Cindy Page and I are gonna like stick handle this.
Yeah. I can
So-
guarantee you the bell has been located.
Yes.
It is in a trailer that's surrounded by the lovely white snow, so we cannot get it, but I guarantee you that our manager of Parks and Facilities has put his eyes on it, and we do know we have the bell. So I think we can, start brainstorming, talk about it, think about it. I do know that it has been on council's radar, previous councils and current councils, as well as our CAOs, on what to do with this bell. So I think we need to make sure that we do this in collaboration with everybody, but definitely the bell is here, Nelson, Councilor Edgerton, so don't worry, and we will definitely look at a project or some form of restoration and resurrection of it.
It's great in front of the new fire hall. Is that what you were thinking?
Oh, where?
The new fire hall? Like put it in front? What do you think?
I don't know, if it's there, or you're by the, or you're by the flagpole.
Yeah, I thought that's what it is.
Yeah, well, we can brainstorm some ideas, yeah.
Came from on top of the municipal office originally
Yeah.
downtown.
Right.
So my suggestion would be on, had the cement bolted down, so it doesn't walk away someday, right behind the flag. out here.
Yeah, okay.
I just
That's
brought
just
a
my idea.
picture of what they've done with the bell up at the Anglican church.
Yeah.
Now, they had some iron included with the bell in order that they were able to anchor it.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Whether this bell had any
This,
type
they'll
of,
want to have something to bolt it down up on top of the
Yeah,
building
yeah.
of some kind.
Yeah,
so that's how they took advantage of it.
Okay.
In order to bolt this thing down, so nobody'd ever take it.
yeah, yeah.
It'll walk away, not bolt it.
Yeah.
Then you have
for
a
sure.
plaque or a QR code with a story about it.
Yeah.
And have some landscaping around it.
Yeah.
So it's not quite so bare as that,
No, it needs a sign with it.
We could use we could add that kind of as our signage, use our signage template that we're doing for Dale Ebenezer, and
Yeah.
not that it's a cemetery, but it's information piece, right? Mhm.
That's how people knew stuff was going on.
Mhm.
Bells went, right? So some people would actually know from the sound of the bell, which one it was,
Mhm.
so.
Beautiful.
So,
It's on the radar.
Yeah, see, the fire department didn't use a bell. they use an air raid siren.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
That's what's notified, no, because the firefighters were coming to the home, and that's how they called the firefighters. And with telephones as well,
Yeah,
but the siren would ring,
Yeah,
yeah,
Scared me the first time when I was here.
Yeah.
and that siren was off the tower shake.
Yeah.
There's a 5-horse motor on, that sits on top of it, self-supporting TV tower, a lot like this tower that's right out here, right out at the back of the fire hall.
So the siren's still down there.
Yeah, the siren's still down there, yes. I asked Bill whether they were gonna bring it up here or whether they're gonna leave it down there.
And what was the answer?
Non-committal.
Wasn't sure yet. Another thing that siren was used for, if somebody got out of the correctional center,
Oh, that's right,
and we were notified,
that's right.
and we would set trucks around, plus that siren going, so the guy running, he didn't know where anybody was, all he could hear was siren.
yeah.
Yeah, he went back home.
I remember that at the time as a kid, yeah.
Yeah, so that siren, yeah. Lakefield had one of the same, and every day at 12 noon, it rang once. So it goes up to a high point and then drop back down.
Really?
So the sirens keep going up to the top, then they rev back down, then they rev back up. And
Doesn't the
Lakefield-
college still have that?
Well, it was right down at the fire hydrant, right down at that funny corner in Lakefield where.
Yeah,
both come together,
yeah,
the fire
Queen
hall and
Street
that was-
area,
The fire
yeah.
hall and that bridge was in behind the municipal office there.
Okay.
And it used to ring once every day at 12 o'clock.
Hmm. Interesting.
Awesome.
So for the time being, the bell is snowed in.
Yeah.
Yes, as is everybody.
Yeah. It's hibernate.
Yeah, yeah. So, but when we can get to it, you and I should probably go and look at it, because I had no idea how the size of it.
I have no idea the size, but if we look at it, then we can see what the frame is, and then we can go
Yeah.
from getting a frame built to hold it down.
So if the guys can let us know
Okay,
when they can get to it,
yep,
and Nelson and I can go and look at it.
Yep.
Take some measurements.
I'll make a note to touch base with Chris in like when the nicer weather starts.
Yeah.
And I'll just ask him if he can
Starting next week.
start next week. Is that
Perfect.
right? Okay,
Karen's
Well, I
declared
think-
it.
I think we have to have pretty good weather because it's in a sea can, I believe.
yeah,
So the sea can, what happens to them as the snow melts, they create ice on the bottom and then you can't get the door open
Oh.
yeah,
until real good weather. So I think like we'd be on into May before we could,
yeah, yeah.
we could actually get the door open.
So I'll just
Yeah.
put a little reminder in my calendar for
Okay.
like first or midweek in May to just touch base with Chris and see. And then give you guys time to take a look at it, and then maybe in our June meeting, you can kind of bring back what you think.
We can measure it,
Yeah,
find out the size.
Yeah.
Talk about a base and how it should stand and how it should be attached, and we'll come back and make
perfect.
some wonderful ideas.
Yeah, well, I know these sea cans has the ice melts down, the door's only up but that far, so
Yeah,
like they're hard to get open until it's real good weather, but had a lot of chalk.
you say so.
The weather piece to say.
Do we need a motion to accept the work plan in
Yes.
general?
Yes, and the amendments. And I'll just make them all, add them all up.
Oh, okay. So then, we need a motion to accept the work plan and the amendments. As
I'll make a
posted.
motion.
Someone second, please.
Which
Yes,
Who are you
Nancy, okay.
taking?
All in favor?
All in favor? And the meeting is adjourned.
Good job.
We're going to argue about the motion for the adjournment. It's someone like to make the motion to adjourn the meeting? And the second. Oh, all in favor?